Is this the best moment to change your Swiss francs into euros? Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Marco. I work at moneyswap.com, and today we are here for our latest episode from Currency Watch, the monthly webinar where we analyze what happened in the last month on the exchange rate between franc and euros, and we share our hypotheses and our previews for the future. So, first of all, let me introduce you again to our website. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you, voila, just wait a second and you will be able to see it, who we are, how we work, and what our website look like. So you see here, MoneySwap, we do have a website here. You will have this chance of signing up for the next webinar. And here you can see which currencies we change at which rate and how much of the currency you would like to receive, you will receive at the end of the process. We do share the real exchange rate that we offer you. So what you see here is exactly what we will use for your change. And this is the amount of, in this case, US dollars that you will get for a certain amount of euros, let's say 3,000. But let's go back to francs. That is basically our main focus and what we care about the most because of our location, of course. So, first of all, what we saw in the last month, we told you in the last episode that it was highly probable that we would have a slight trend downwards for the Swiss franc, and in fact, the preview was respected. Here we see the last month, and in the last month we see a downward trend, and the data today shows a minus 73%. We are now under the sustained level of 1.08 that we found for April up to June, and as I said, the forecast was about correct. So we're pretty happy of what we told you in the last time, and we hope that we will be able to maintain this level of accuracy. How we do that is, of course, thanks to forecaster.bits, that is the terminal that we use to analyze several financial assets as the exchange rate for the main currencies. So now, said what happened in the last month, I think the most important part comes right now. So what we think will happen in the next month. And first of all, I will share with you a nice feature of forecaster.bits, that is the forecaster AI agent that sums up a lot of information. Of course, we do not base our analysis on only the forecaster AI agent. We use it more as a confirm, but we can have a look at it, and it's pretty, voila, clear what we will see. So first of all, the biggest factors here are mainly two. The first one is the banks, what the banks will do, the central banks, in this case, the European Central Bank and the Swiss National Bank. What they can do on the currency market, in this case, they can hike or lower the rate in order to fight inflation. In this moment, the European Central Bank is facing a higher inflation than expected. The Eurozone was expected and aims at an inflation rate of 2%. We are currently at 2.8%. So in June, we hiked the rates up to 2.25 basis point. In the same time, the Swiss National Bank, that has a very, very low inflation, we're talking 0.5%, 0.6%, does not have this need. This sends us to the first part of the analysis, so that the franc has lost a bit of power in the last month because the euro is more attractive to investors, because of course the interest rate is higher. So for every euro that you buy, you can get 2.25% on your deposit, while with francs, you have a 0% return. The other side is, of course, the geopolitical part of the spectrum. We know we are in a very unstable position in this moment. So everything is linked to the ongoing wars and the instability in the world. And in this case, the franc is a good safe haven where people will go if they want to avoid the up and down of the market. To go back on the AI analysis, we see that the market sentiment is on the short term. Is it possible that we will have a slight depreciation of the franc? So again, we will not probably see the line go up in this case. We will probably see a 0.6%, 0.9%, up to 1% depreciation of the francs compared to the euros in the next 30 days. But as always, in the long term, despite the current cooling of the market, we expect the strength of the franc as a safe haven to stay the same as it was before. And we can see this in the long term. We're talking 5 years, we are talking 10 years, we're talking 20 years. Apart from these spikes that we will maybe get into in another point, the trend is always going up. So to sum up this first part, I would also like to show you the seasonality. Seasonality is how to analyze the movement of some financial assets based on the movements in the previous years in the same months. And what we see here, that the most correlated here, in this case, is 2020. So we see that when the exchange rate moved similarly, and in this case, it moved very similarly between today and 2020, the rate in the next month, and we can select here from today, let's go up to September 4, we can see that the correlation is almost 87%, and in 2020, so the most correlated event, we had a short event, so the franc lost 0.4%. While if we take, for example, the last 10 years, that is a good statistical analysis, the correlation is very low, but we had a 50-50 outcome. So the short cases, so the franc going down with an average loss of 1%, happened 5 times out of 10, and the long one with an average return of 1.8% happened again 5 times out of 10. A 50-50 situation in the last 10 years, but in the most correlated years, so the most similar in the movements, was 0.4% loss. So in the short term, we do expect either a sideways market, so we will stay into the levels that we saw in this month, not going terribly high, not going terribly low, moving around 1.08 to 1.07. But in the long term, we do expect an appreciation and the franc to hold this value. Why we also think that? This is a part of the COT report in the forecaster terminal. We saw this even last time. Here we take the asset manager and their positioning on the market. Who are asset managers? These are the pension fund, the insurance funds, the people who have a lot of money to invest, but they know that they will have to pay this money sooner or later, whether it is for the pension, whether it is for insurance. So they are looking for returns, but they cannot risk too much. They have to stay relatively safe. And we do see that even in the last month, even when the rate went down, the position went up, and they are still buying today at a lower rate than before, but still they're mounting up even as the price goes down. You see the blue line here is the price, and the red one is the positioning of these asset manager. We can even unify the two things, and the pattern is pretty clear. This is the last year, this is the last 3 years, and we see that from the all-time high at end of February, March, the people who move a lot of money and will look for certainty are buying Swiss francs. So in the long term, we do think that it will stay really, really interesting to accumulate some Swiss francs to change in a later moment. So it's all for regarding the charts. To sum up, what we just said is exactly that. In the short term, next 30 days, next month up to September, we do expect the francs to stay either stable or to lose a small percentage compared to euros. For the long term, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, or if you just started a new job in Switzerland, it is wise to save up some francs because we do expect that its value will go up as a safe haven, as a stable currency, and in the long term, we saw that in the previous years, it was always a good idea to hold. So if you are going to vacation in the next 2 or 3 weeks and you do need some euros, change it now. Is it possible that it will go down and you will lose a bit of money if you change later on? If you are not in a hurry, if you have the chance to wait, please do so. And of course, always change with the best service possible. I cannot recommend other than moneyswap.com, the only service that gives you the best service and the best rate in Switzerland, and that helps you decide when to change, also with this webinar and with all the tools that we do have in our website. I do show one last thing that I do think it's pretty convenient for you, because every time people go on screen, they do not go up to the end of the website. And here in the footer, you do have a lot of useful information, whether it's the Currency Watch webinar, of course, whether it's the free IBAN that we give in order for you to receive your pension or to receive your salary, the frequently asked question, how it works, the guides for the new people who arrive in Switzerland, what is happening in the news, how you can top up your Trade Republic account or your Revolut. We do have a lot of information here that may be useful for you, for your friends, or for your colleagues. Thank you again for your time and attention. Remember to change on moneyswap.com. If you do need anything, you can contact us, WhatsApp, email, or telephone every day of the week from 9 up to 6 p.m. Bye-bye. Enjoy your afternoon. Have a nice weekend.